The one thing that the Indigo Disk DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet left us with is that there was no true villain to the story. There's a lot of people online saying that Kieran was the villain, but in my own opinion, I feel like Kieran only acted out because of the actions of his sister Carmine and the player. Now there's a few examples we can give that each character was their own villain for part of the story, but in fact, in my own opinion, I believe this was quite an ambiguous story, and there was in fact no villain at all. Now, I've only just beat Kieran in the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC, so I haven't ventured too far into the story as of recording this video. But I will say, for the most part in the Kitakami region, Kieran did act out of pocket, but so did everyone else in the story. How was that for a whirlwind intro? What is going on, guys? My name is Toxplicity and welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet video. In today's video, you guys, we're going to be discussing the fact that I don't believe there was a true villain of this story. I believe we're all just a bunch of children acting in our own self-interest, and there was a few examples I could give of some of the characters being more manipulative than others, and a few actions that led to other characters maybe becoming a little bit more crazy and a little bit vulnerable, but I believe there was no true villain. This Pokemon game, Scarlet and Violet, was one of the best that I've played, and honestly, the Blueberry Academy story was much better than the Kitakami region, and I believe it's one of my top 5 Pokemon games that I've played. I'll go out on a limb and say that. But let's jump straight into the video. Let's discuss why I think there's no true villain, and let's give examples of a few characters that could potentially have been the villain but weren't. Now, straight away, I wanted to just throw out that Carmine and Nemona were two very obnoxious characters in my opinion. They were great for the story, don't get me wrong, but I didn't really like either of their characters. I feel like Carmine was very controlling. The way that she kind of pushed our player to lie to Kieran was also very bad, and then in the Blueberry Academy, she also tried to manipulate the situation into not understanding why Kieran was acting out in the first place, when obviously her actions and her lying to Kieran about Ogerpon was one of the catalysts for Kieran changing. And Nemona was also the villain because she was just very annoying at the start of the game and was forcibly our friend. But we're not going to talk about Nemona much in this video. It's mostly about the Kitakami and Blueberry Academy characters. Now, Kieran is another story. Kieran is only a child. Kieran was lied to and manipulated by both Carmine and the player. So Kieran was a little bit vulnerable and decided that he wanted to be the best. He wanted to catch Ogerpon, he wanted to catch other legendary Pokemon, he wanted to be the champion. And if you haven't played through the Blueberry Academy, then spoiler, Kieran does become the champion. He has an own separate voice line if you use Ogerpon in battle. I didn't, but I grabbed this online. But he is just obsessed with being the best trainer and beating the player. Now, Kieran does say some pretty whack things to some of the characters and also controls the situation, and that's where another character, Drayton, kind of comes into the story. He manipulates the player as well as to getting his own way and having Kieran knocked off as being the champion. He was pretty in Kieran's face when he became the ex-champion, and Drayton also had a few other lines that I wasn't too fussed with, and he could have also been the villain. But once Kieran was beaten, Drayton revealed that he just wanted things to go back to the way they were. He wanted them all to be friends, and there goes him being the possible villain. He was very manipulative during the game. Obviously, he set up the fact that the player was going to go through and fight the Elite Four and then fight Kieran, and he knew Kieran was going to let the player enter the league because Kieran and the player have a history in the Kitakami region that stems from us and Carmine, his older sister, lying about a certain Pokemon that Kieran was obsessed with. See what I mean? This whole story is kind of like this person could be the villain, that person could be the villain, but in all honesty, no one is really the villain. Okay, let's keep going. One character I thought that was going to be revealed as the villain and the puppet, and potentially could still be revealed as the villain. I'm trying to avoid many spoilers as I've just beaten Kieran. I haven't ventured into Area 0, but Miss Briere had a red flag from the beginning. I was very hyped to see Miss Briere get a lot of time in the Blueberry Academy and kind of control us a little bit more, but she hasn't up to the point that I'm at in the story right now. And we could also look at the Blueberry Academy Elite Four. We've already spoken about Drayton, but the other three were just innocent in the story. Neither three of these other Elite Four members, Crispin, Lacey, and Amira, I think her name is, or Amaris, neither of them really had much time in the story, apart from Lacey, who has ties back to some gym leaders in the Generation 5 games in the Unova region. But I think all three of them kind of were their own characters. They all were supportive of the character, and they all kind of gave in to the manipulation that Drayton kind of led into pushing us into the Battle League. So at the end of the day, I feel like the Elite Four and also the Champion are pretty innocent in this case. What do you guys think? Am I close to being correct with this? Do you guys think I'm completely wrong? Do you guys think there's a true villain of this story? Let me know down below. I just want to thank you guys again for all the support in 2023. I know we're part way through January right now, but I did want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful start to 2024. I can't wait to see what this year has in store. Let me know down below if you want me to make any other content on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I've got a couple of other speculative videos to come, but I'm happy to oblige and make any sort of content you guys want me to. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.